Now, typically, Roger, you and I get to talk about a film where we have maybe months, maybe we have years of reflection. We've seen the film, we've been able to study the marketing campaign, we have lots of lessons to derive from our research, but not today. Today, we're talking about a film that nobody's seen, nobody knows what it's about. In fact, the trailer was only released 24 hours ago. Let's watch it and listen to it again.
Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams.
Am I crazy? We don't use that word in here.
Hi.
Have we met?
One pill makes you larger and one pill makes you small. And the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall.
Time to fly.
And if you go chasing rabbits,
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
and you know you're going to fall.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me. No?
When logic and proportion have fallen, so be dead. And the white knight is talking backwards, and the red queen's on the head. Remember what the dogma said.
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
We are talking about The Matrix Resurrections, Chapter 4 of an amazing, amazing franchise. But as I mentioned a moment ago, this came out of nowhere. Literally over the last few days, the internet has gone on overdrive, Roger. And this trailer that we've just been watching, listening again, was only released literally 24 hours ago.
That's right, and I didn't know anything about this until you pointed it out to me a few days ago. And yes, the trailer out yesterday. It's incredibly interesting. It's definitely a Matrix film. I thought maybe it was a Matrix film starring John Wick as opposed to Neo, but we'll have the argument about the length of Keanu Reeves' hair later. But wow, yeah, I'm excited, and it's coming out in December. But I think what we really wanted to talk about today, Pascal, was the fact that even though the trailer dropped yesterday, there's a massive amount of debate, speculation, excitement, and almost like guerrilla marketing been going on since that trailer was shown to an exclusive audience at CinemaCon back in August 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the news items and many of the blog posts and so on, felt very envious yet again. So people were invited on 24th of August, and the date is important because we can see how the speed at which things are moving. And I read articles about people describing something they'd seen. And it's so, I'd imagine even when they were writing it, Roger, they must have felt, I can't do justice to this, because if what they saw was the trailer or even the teaser of that you and I have now seen, it's almost impossible to express in words what's on screen, isn't it?
Yeah, and from what I can gather, when they showed this trailer at CinemaCon, nobody was allowed to do a film copy of it with their mobile phone. So presumably they had to frisk everybody who was going into the auditorium to stop them having anything that they could use to record it. So yes, they were in that room and they were probably blown away by that trailer like we were when we watched it yesterday. But they weren't, they had no way of showing it to anybody else other than actually explaining, telling. And that's what's really interesting, because as you say, there's lots of reaction videos to this trailer on YouTube, as you would expect, but normally people play the trailer and then pause it and say, this is what I think is going to happen, blah blah blah. But people are doing reaction videos to a trailer that they can't show videos of, and people are doing reaction videos to trailers that they haven't even seen. They're doing reaction videos to the reaction videos of the people who were in that room at cinema, and it's almost become this sort of, it's word of mouth gone absolutely mad, isn't it?
And if you're the filmmakers, bear in mind that the release has been delayed because of COVID, you'd be pretty pleased with this. So playing the card of scarcity and exclusivity is something that has not been done for a while, and that's been great. Now, I would say, I was envious, of course, but we didn't have to wait too long, because on the 7th of September, merely 3 days ago, This is the Matrix.com was republished with a different URL, which we're going to discuss in a moment. And suddenly, out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, you're faced with this very, very dramatic image of the red pill and the blue pill. And here you are. You can choose one of them, because as the strapline says, the choice is yours. And on the 7th of September, on the choice is yours .whatisthematrix.com, you can play the teasers.
Yeah, and of course, depending upon which pill you chose, you actually get to see a slightly different trailer. In fact, I think there was a fairly sizable number of combinations that were triggered by the clicking, wasn't it? It wasn't just 2 teaser trailers. I think they had all sorts of different bits that came together. So it was just, and I've even seen people on the internet who must have watched it as many times as they could to get all of the little bits, and then they've tried to cobble them together into their own trailers.
They did, yeah. So I would love to speak to the tech team on this one, because this is what happens. If you've not had the pleasure yet, go on it. Whether you choose the red or the blue pill, something happens, which is that you're being addressed as the audience. So somebody, the narrator, is talking to you directly, and it also would say, you believe this is the time, and the time is being read out to you, and every time it is the correct. So right now, as I'm recording, with Roger, it's 15:44 in the UK. If I was playing the teaser, the voice would say, you believe it's 3:44 p.m. And when you play the teaser a few minutes later, the time has changed. So they also have the times read out, and according to people who have been spending far too much time online, because you have core scenes, but then after you have scenes that changes all the time. I will confess, Roger, I've watched about 20 times the teasers on both the red and the blue pill, and every time there's a new scene. Yeah, so according to, let's call them the geeks and the nerds out there who have been looking at the teasers, there's to the tune of over 100,000 variation, because there's so many scenes that keep changing. I've watched it 10, 20 times, and every time I think, oh, that's it, I finally find the point where it's go back to, version 1, and then no, there is an extra scene in the teasers. So that was the 7th of September. And then 2 days later, we have the official trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable to think that they shot a voiceover for every minute of the 24-hour clock. I mean, that is utter dedication, isn't it? And fabulous detail. Unbelievable.
And in terms of that being very cleverly database driven, like I said, on this occasion, I would love to speak to the tech team and say, how do you do it? How do you do it? Is it, random algorithm? Is it, we're not for the time before for the scenes as well? And when we and I looked at The Matrix, the original one, in episode 32 of Two Geeks and Martin podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, it's quite interesting. It should be, obviously moving on. The trailer finished on a question that the character of Trinity asked, and basically she was saying, it was Morpheus, I beg your pardon, who said to Neo, but I said to the audience, no one can be told what the Matrix is, you have to see it for yourself. Now, in this trailer, because we know what the Matrix is, we have somebody else that closes the trailer by saying, as you heard a moment ago, after all these years, to be going back to where it all started, back to the Matrix. And once again, they're using one line from the movie to address the audience, but actually to mirror how we feel.
Yeah. And another thing which is really interesting is that I believe that when this gets launched in December, I think it's the 22nd of December, it's going to be launched in theatres, and also at the same time it's going to be streamed. Now, this is something that I've been saying throughout the pandemic. Maybe it's a time when we have to get to that stage where we give people the choice to go to the theatre or to go to and watch it streaming. But if you choose the red pill or the blue pill, it sort of hints that I think the red pill is the one that reveals the real world to you, that it's a computer simulation way back in the original film. And if you chose the red pill for the teaser trailer, that was very heavily implying that you should see it in the theatres, i.e. that will be the best way to reveal it. Whereas if you chose the blue pill, where you're more than happy to just let the world stay as it is in your context, then that's the streaming. So even though they are going to release it cinemas and streaming at the same time, the undercurrent, the sort of subconscious nudge is still for you to go and see it at the cinema.
Can I quickly ask you, because you are the music fan really and very knowledgeable about music as part of the Two Geeks, the choice of the song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, which I think is probably the more current version by Dance Society, it's just absolutely spot on, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the white. I mean, it's. In fact, the reason I watched the trailer more than once, even though the visuals are absolutely stunning, was to listen to the song again.
And they talk about taking the pill, and it's just. I think as a filmmaker, you must have thanked the god of cinema to give you, this track. So, unusually for Two Geeks and a Marketing podcast, we can't give a big review and essay about the marketing techniques because they haven't happened yet. Yeah. What I will say is that if you go on imdb.com and look at the window that says storyline, this is what you can read. The plot is currently unknown. And what I really want, I'm going to ask you for your prediction about what they might do next for the next three months, really leading up to the release. Oh, by the way, a lovely palindrome, because if you look at the date in the US where it's a 12, 22, 21, so lovely little symmetry there. But when it comes to the marketing, what can they do next without spoiling the storyline? Because I don't want to know the story. I want to be blown away like I was in 1999 when The Matrix came out.
I don't know. I think maybe, Pascal, because they've already done this remarkable trick of stitching together potentially hundreds of different little scenes to create all sorts of different teaser trailers, I think that they'll carry on doing that sort of thing and maybe pepper the future marketing with some red herrings. So we're not quite sure what the reality is or what the obfuscation is. So some of it might be a hint as to what's happening in the plot, but I think we'll be given quite a few red herrings so that we only find out the truth when we actually see the film itself.
I hope so, because in a way, unfortunately, when you go on IMDb and you see the list of the cast, it does give some of it away, which is, I think, the element of surprise. It is what it is. So I'm going to certainly try not to read and watch too many things. I think there's an element for them to do things we've seen before on Two Geeks and Marketing podcast of gamification, asking audiences, what do you want reality to be? Maybe you could play games, and being one of the characters in the Matrix. They could even do some things like around geolocation, as we discussed with other marketing campaigns, where could you, for example, go somewhere around the UK, take a picture and say, I think this is fake, this is part of the Matrix, and you could have a bit of fun with that. Or could they put some QR codes where you could reveal maybe some additional teasers? So I think an element where of audience participation through games, through quizzes, through riddles, I think would be great. But I really don't want them to tell me any more about the story. I think the trailer is so rich, and you could freeze frame and watch, different ways of what is happening.
Yeah, and of course, back in the 90s when the original films came out, we did have 3D games, didn't we? But they were in their early formative years. The graphics were nowhere near as good as they are today. So I think that, virtual worlds now are much more close to reality than they were when the Matrix films first came out. So maybe they'll be doing something with VR or they call it the metaverse, don't they? Maybe there'll be some metaverse stuff going on here, Pascal.
There's one thing that was more from the world of advertising. You may remember, I think it was Honda that did this thing where you went on their official website, they give you video clips and music, and you can create your own adverts. And I wonder whether, again, in the spirit of gamification again and audience participation, why don't you allow people to invent their own Matrix trailer and publish it and get reaction from others? I think there's something in there where I suppose what I would want is not to have just to be passive for the next 3 months and just, bite my nails nervously thinking, I hope the story is going to be good, because I don't want them to tell me what the story is. But I'd like to have something to occupy myself and get excited and add some more to talk about.
Yeah, just imagine though, if so many people have done a damn good job of putting their own trailers together now already with what they've been given on YouTube. Imagine what they'd be able to put together if they were actually given some sort of platform to do it.
So, Roger, this was episode 52 of Two Geeks and a Marketing Podcast, packed with news, content, tech, and some wisdom, we hope so. Until the next one, please go out there and make sure your marketing is done right. I was Pascal Fintoni, and he was Roger Edwards. Bye for now.